Hello and everyone. Today we'll talk about yet another cloud solution architect topic, that is technology overkill. Now, this is my favorite quote: do not build bazooka to kill a mosquito, right? So in a sense we call it technology overdose or technology overkill. We need to remember, as a cloud solution architect, we are trying to solve a business problem or enabling a business to do its thing effectively. And most of the cases, we are not building these applications or solutions for an IT company. They're into, let's say, healthcare, manufacturing, energy, or different kind of things who don't really focus on IT. And for that, those kind of businesses, the owner of the business, the stakeholder, the person who pays the money doesn't really require to know how IT is evolving. What he or she as a leader is more focused towards doing a seamless, secure, and reliable business via IT. And that's why digital transformation is so important, right? Because it helps, but it is not the core of their business. So that's why we need to know like what really works. If it is a very simple solution, maybe that's the thing we need to focus on rather than thinking too much complex, which might take longer time to build or need some special skill set to hire if it is not available within the organization. So what we can assume over here in this kind of context is that we need to keep it simple. To give an example, if there is a public website which just shows some static data, have a simple HTML website. You don't need to build something which does take value from an API. Through that API, you have some rich interfaces built using complex things. You can have JavaScript libraries for your UI interfaces, but try to make it simple. Why I'm saying is that maybe this is only a short-term website for a month. Why you need to spend so much on that? So you need to balance out. When you need to invest on technology, especially when it is a long term, you need to think about it. But when it is short term, quick, make it very, very simple as much as possible. Now, having said that, you also have something into this space where it allows you to have a lot of data interacted between the where. So you keep doing those transactions. You have a lot of users using that application across the globe, etc. Right? You might want to build some rock solid application. Now, the key thing you need to keep in mind is the downtime and the data loss, right? That's defined by the business. For how long they can go down, and then for how much data they can afford to lose, right? So that's a definition comes from business. So you need to understand that and build it. You may not need microservices architecture in every scenario. Just to give an example, maybe a simple ASP.NET Core with SQL Server backend is more than enough for you to run your business, right? If that is the case, let's go ahead and build something very simple, right? You don't need to take out component and build individual API microservices and wrap it around in service mesh and make all sort of complexities, which is absolutely not required for that kind of application. I'm not saying they're bad technology, but probably they're the technology overdose for the business requirement we have. So we need to balance that out. We need to also think about something about on performance, right? So if you split an application in so much different components and make it a sort of loosely coupled, you probably would have to compromise a bit on performance. Because if you have a limited user set, let's say you have only a few hundred users who are mostly internal users, and they are not always connected. So it's a global company. So each region has their set of users who will be logging in and using that application for a specific time during the day. So it's not always, let's say, 200 people using that application. Maybe at one given point in time, you have 20 users. So why to make something for those kind of high performance activity when it is not required? When you can live with simple application and still can provide the performance. And as you make the monolith application, you remember those internal communication to call certain things within the application becomes null, zero. So if you build an ASP.NET application, let's say, and you are calling your data access layer, which is just part of the ASP.NET application code, it becomes very, very fast. Probably the fastest way of accessing the data access layer from an application rather than having another API deployed in a microservices and then calling via the where from your web front end could be a bit of additional performance over it. But that those things are good for large complex application because it's easy to maintain and manage. But for simple application, I see no value doing that. So remember one thing, we don't need bazooka to kill a mosquito, right? So your technology mapping for the business need, for the application, for the IT solution is totally based on the business requirement. And business is not really worried about whether you build it a static website or a microservices based website, as long as it doesn't have a downtime, almost zero downtime, no data loss, and the performance, right? They are happy, the end user and the business stakeholders all are happy, and that's what our target should be. Thank you very much and have a great evening.